right, welcome everyone. My name is Dan Biga. I'm the Regional Executive Director for BunkerLabs. I lead our effort to support military-connected entrepreneurs in 9 states across the Midwest. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I'll be quick and we'll get to any questions that you might have. So who we are, we're a national nonprofit. We're a 501c3. We have chapters in 30 cities across the country. One of the things that I've been doing though is reaching out to 1 Million Cups organizers because our mission, and especially in light of COVID, we've pivoted a lot of our programming to a virtual environment. So entrepreneurs, whether military connected or not, have an advantage to take advantage of some of our programmings at this time. Just a quick overview of kind of what how our work manifests. So we meet entrepreneurs wherever they are, whether they have an idea or whether they have a company that they're looking to scale. I'm going to go into some of the details of the different types of programming we offer in the follow-on slides, but this is just some of the impact that our companies have been able to have. It's important to note that everything that BunkerLabs does is free for the entrepreneur. So if you have an idea and you want to participate in LaunchLab Online, you can sign up and participate in the programming free of charge, and that's regardless of whether or not you're a veteran or not. BunkerLabs launched our Allin campaign in response to COVID. There's this page, bunkerlabs.org/all_in, has a whole bunch of different resources to help entrepreneurs meet the challenge of the day. So info on the CARES Act, PPP, and that's constantly getting updated. Also with interviews from entrepreneurs about ways that they are navigating the challenges of the day. So there's some really good content on this page. I'd encourage you to check it out. So I'm going to just quickly kind of do a quick overview of our programs, and hopefully this will create some questions that you might have. So the first programming piece that I'd like everyone to know about is LaunchLab Online. So this is for anybody that has a business idea that they haven't taken off the ground yet. Why is this important? LaunchLab Online is something that enables an entrepreneur to take their idea, put it down into a business model canvas, but then we also challenge the entrepreneurs to look at their personal lives. Is their family situation right? Is their financial situation sound enough to launch into entrepreneurship? So these are the types of questions that we help entrepreneurs work through on LaunchLab Online. We also have a online community that's currently housed on Facebook that is monitored 24 hours a day by Bunker staff. And this is a space where we can have entrepreneurs interact with one another, share best practices, share horror stories, and really just kind of build that community that's so important. The next event that we have is called Bunker Bruise. Now these have been significantly impacted since COVID. Essentially, a Bunker Bruise is a networking content sandwich. So you start off with networking, deliver content, and then you end with some more networking. We've had to pivot these to a virtual platform since COVID. But what is very cool about this is that at Bunker Bruise, regardless of where you're at in your business, you're going to meet somebody new and you're going to receive valuable content. One of our core values is that we would never design an event that we wouldn't want to attend ourselves. So that's why these Bunker Brews are a lot of fun. We do have a chapter in Minneapolis. If you're ever up in that area, you could check it out there. But with the virtual component to our events now, people from all over the country, regardless of where you are, you're able to plug into these events, meet new people, and receive some valuable content. Bunker Connect is a newer program that BunkerLabs launched late last year. This is facilitated networking. So this expands the ecosystem for our military connected entrepreneurs to include people that are in are in industry that may not be wanting to start a business, but they could be potential customers. They could be potential advisors or mentors. So this Bunker Connect event is a way that we expand the ecosystem that ultimately is designed to support our entrepreneurs. We had an awesome Bunker Connect event in Minneapolis late last year. These are worth the trip. It's a very, very cool program. All right, the Veterans in Residence program. So this is a 6-month in-person cohort experience that we offer. It happens twice a year in 13 cities across the country. This is where we build cohorts of entrepreneurs from a variety of different backgrounds, with the intent of each person in that cohort has something to offer to the other people in that cohort. So it's kind of the phrase, rising tide lifts all ships. That's the mentality that we go into when we build a Veterans in Residence cohort. Again, with COVID, the Veteran in Residence cohort has typically been an in-person experience, but because of COVID, we are able to offer it in a virtual environment. So this is something that I see being available. It's currently available in 21 plus cities, but I think this is going to be available to everyone, regardless of where you are, because we are going to have a virtual offering of this one. And then the last piece of programming that's designed to advance a company through their progression is CEO Circle. So this is for companies that are more mature, looking to scale, and really tailored to that veteran CEO. That veteran, I mean, has been around the block a little bit. Definitely has the C-suite experience. Just a quick shout out to our partners. I get that question a lot. Who's actually behind all this work? It's worth repeating that these programs are available to. We encourage everyone to attend our events, veterans and non-veterans. I think a lot of times in the veteran world, people think that non-veterans don't have anything to offer, or they just kind of create their own bubble. But at BunkerLabs, we're passionate about bringing in non-veterans because there's so many experiences that veterans don't have, and they need to learn from others. So this is my contact information, dan.big@bunkerlabs.org. I'll drop my LinkedIn profile into the chat. I'd encourage anyone to reach out. I'd love to talk with anyone about what they're working on. Any other passion projects, I'm happy to jump on a call. So I'll pause there. I'll drop some resources into the chat, but thanks so much for having me this morning.
Awesome, thank you. So 1MC people who've got questions, go ahead and you can raise your hand. You can click on participants and raise your hand. Oh yes, good job, Gary. You can click on reactions and clap hands for Dan. I love that. I've just discovered that myself recently. There we go. A little hand clapping. Ryan has a question. Ryan, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question in person.
Yes, Dan, I just had a question. When you were talking about the Bunker Connect events, you made the mention of facilitated networking. Just curious what you meant by facilitated there and how it's different from sort of a normal networking event.
Yeah, it's a great question. I didn't want to get into it because it can kind of lead down a road, but I'll get into it real quick. So when somebody shows up to a Bunker Connect event, they're given a piece of what skills do you have to offer? What do you need? What's your current endeavor? And then there's a blank square that has a spot for them to put a Polaroid picture. So we take their Polaroid picture, they fill out that sheet indicating what they need, what they have to offer, and then they stick it up on a wall. Then we pack about 100 people into a room. They have those pieces of paper as reference points as to who else is in the room. And then at the end of the event, they form trios, commit to a date and time to have coffee, and then we give them a Starbucks gift card to go have that cup of coffee. So that's what I mean when I say facilitated networking. You have directions. You have to go do it.
I like that. That's neat. Gary has a question. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, yes, Dan, what about the aspect of legal issues? Last week, we talked about legal resources available to entrepreneurs, and you noted resources. That's something you help vets connect to on legal issues.
Yeah. So legal issues, if you have accounting issues, we're super connectors. That's kind of where our money is. So at the end of the day, we are closing the ecosystem access gap. And as everyone on this call knows, you need the right network in order to have a successful endeavor. Part of the network is a team of lawyer friends that you can call if you need a hand. We're absolutely there to connect different resources, regardless of what the resource is. But our focus is we don't like provide the legal advice. We make the connection to people that are a part of the community.
Okay, and just to kind of follow up to that, if I could,
yeah.
That at least I know in Minneapolis, there's a very active SCORE chapters. I'm part of both SCORE and SBDC. Do you have any interaction, whether it's in Minneapolis or the other chapters, with those two entities who share the same focus for helping startups, small business?
Yeah, it really is. What's interesting is it's very localized. So in the Dakotas, we have a very strong relationship with SBDC and the VBOC, for example, the Veterans Business Outreach Center. There are always opportunities to improve relationships, and I'd definitely be down to continue to make connections. I think at the end of the day, where Bunker sits is if somebody has a business idea and our programming is not going to meet their need in that moment, we connect them with the right person. So oftentimes that could be the SBDC, the local SBDC, or the local VBOC. But having those relationships is key, and that's one of the reasons why I come onto these calls is to get those types of connections for our entrepreneurs.
Dan, could you talk a little bit about what sorts of struggles you're having as you're growing, as you're expanding? What kinds of things, are you as an organization struggling with that we might be able to give ideas to help with?
I think one of 37% of the military connected community doesn't have access to the network that they need in order to do what they want to do, be it entrepreneurship or go out into industry and get a job. So the connections are huge, and passing the word on about what Bunker is doing is invaluable to what we're doing. Having people go to participate in Launch Lab online is huge. I think we are, in light of the current circumstances, we're trying to figure out ways to engage in a more meaningful way on Zoom. It's tough, as everyone knows. But a lot of what we do is connecting people and forming those authentic relationships. So, we've been experimenting with different Zoom plugins to increase engagement and interaction between participants. But we'd always welcome new ideas on how to do that.
I'm struggling with that. I teach at a university, right? And an important part of the in-person interaction is the students interacting with one another and feeding off of each other, feeding off ideas. And I imagine that would be, one of the similar things. One of the things that I did that was actually very effective was to have trios, like you said with your networking.
Yeah.
I did trio meetings in Zoom.
Nice.
So instead of having one-on-ones with the students or trying to talk to 30 students all at once, I broke them up into groups of 3. So I'd have 3 students and myself, and we'd talk over, whatever the concept was, have them work together on it. And that resulted in a lot more engagement. So
That's
just
awesome.
An idea. Maybe take that trio thing and make it virtual.
I will. Absolutely.
There's powers in 3, right?
Yeah.
Other suggestions, questions from the group?
Yeah, I got a question. I was kind of curious, Dan, the origins of your organization. I'm a little bit familiar with Veterans Business Outreach Center through the SBA, which would be grew out of a government entity. I assume BunkerLabs is probably a private, originated from private individuals and then grew from there.
Yeah, so we started in 2015 in Chicago as a single 501c3, and then we started branching out. And really, what the branching out was people looking at the BunkerLabs model in Chicago and saying our city needs something like that. So then taking the BunkerLabs model and essentially kind of franchising it, but establishing their own 501c3 in different cities. A couple years ago, we consolidated all the 501c3s. Now we're one centrally controlled organization that has earmarked funds for our different chapters that are located across the country. Yeah, but we're funded by our corporate sponsors, individual donors, much like any nonprofit. Diversified is a key to our funding strategy.
How many chapters do you have nationally?
We have over 30, and like if I'm going to tell you, like, this is when COVID happened, we had plans to launch. It had to be probably almost 15 chapters across the country in the spring, summer, and fall. By June of 2021, our goal was to have chapters in all 50 states. That has kind of changed because we are now in a situation where we can't get people together in the same room. So we're working through this process that I've alluded to of like, how do we take our programming, the value add, and deliver it to as many people as we can in a virtual space. So that's kind of where our focus has been now in light of COVID, and we'll reevaluate when we get on the other side of this, whether or not, like a chapter in every state is the best model. But this situation has caused us to kind of take a step back and reassess if that's the right move.
Dan, following up on that, and it's great. I really appreciate that you took the time and working the 1 Million Cups Network and telling us. I wasn't familiar with BunkerLabs. I was more familiar with some of the other resources within the SBA and SBDC. To me, a next step that would be further helpful to expedite getting your message out, plus help your individual vets, is encourage them to apply to present, those that have got a foothold and had started to present in 1 Million Cups. We'd love to have, I'm sure, people, vets. We've had some veteran presenters, but we'd like to hear more and help them wherever they're at, whether in the state of Minnesota or not. And that further will then, I think, maybe encourage other vets to look for BunkerLab and look for those resources. That's another part that we're trying to connect people to resources. So if you could do that, that'd be great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is me in the military. I'm doing, I would say, reconnaissance, and it's this is a great community that the team has built here, and I promise you will see a BunkerLabs company pitch their company here in the next 12 months. So mark my word, it's gonna happen.
That'd be great. One of the things is, that I saw one of your sponsors is the Kauffman Foundation.
Yep.
So I'm sure encouraging of that too. Other questions and comments? I posted one in chat. I'm curious how you market to veterans that are entrepreneurs. How are you finding them and connecting with them so that they know that you exist? They're out in the community. I know it's hard to make those connections.
Yeah. So we're constantly engaging with the communities. We don't exist on bases at the moment. But targeted Facebook ads, targeted social media advertisements, those are like the ways that we kind of put our brand out there. But really, at the end of the day, it's the people. I think marketing by conversation is definitely something that we do at Bunker, and it's worked really well, because what we've been able to do is you know, we've grown the community, but we've grown it smartly in a way that I know that if I have a colleague in the bunker community and I need something, I can call on them and they'd get up right away and support. And the same is true vice versa. So those types of connections that we form and bring more people in is really the way that we go about it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And are most of the people on your team veterans?
Most of them are. Some of them are not. It's also very important to make a point that we like military spouses are a huge component of our community. A lot of times when you know, active duty members or reservists get activated, the life of the spouse is completely thrown up in the air. And entrepreneurship is a way that you know, military spouse can insert a little bit of stability into their life by taking control of their income. So yeah, military spouses are a huge component of what we're doing.
All right, we're running up on time here. So any last questions from anyone? Would one of our organizers like to ask our classic 1 million cups question? Caitlin, you want to give it a shot? You haven't done that yet.
All right. Well, what can we as a community do for you?
All right, thank you for that question. I'm gonna drop the link into the chat. So this is a link to the BunkerLabs Entrepreneur Insights Study. We ask every entrepreneur, every small business owner to fill this out. It helps us kind of understand how the impacts are being felt. And then it feeds how we modify our programming. People that complete this, I reach out to most everyone that completes this out individually to make sure that they have everything that they need. So please take a moment to fill that out. And then if there's anything that you or your networks need and I can provide assistance, there's my email address. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thank you.